The future of the San Jose Sharks was on display tonight at the Shark Tank. Yes, we may not have been there, but we have lots to talk about right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is August 19th, 2021. The 2021 prospect scrimmage is over, and one team won by a lot of goals and another team didn't. Welcome to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks prospect scrimmage post-game show. So if you want to be part of the show, here's how you want to do it. Chat with us and fellow hockey fans on the page or the app. And, of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Pleased to be joined by Mark Eisenberg. How are you, bud?
I'm good. How are you tonight?
I am ecstatic for the future of this hockey club. Obviously, when you miss the playoffs back-to-back years, you really want to have some hope. And I think we saw a lot of it on hand this evening at this prospect scrimmage.
Yeah, some talent, some speed, a lot of impressive performances by some of the guys that were expected and some unexpected. I actually just really enjoyed the broadcast in general. I think that was a step in the right direction for the Sharks in covering some of their prospects.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been streamed before, but really definitely had that pro feel for sure. And to have Rusanowski and Hedekin and Nick Nollenberger, who, Nick, we love you and congratulations on your engagement. You don't need to dress up like an usher. Let's just put it out there, man. But it's good to see you. Good to see everybody back and to the chat, everybody. It's great to see you as well. So let's get into it, shall we? I mean, I know Sharks president Jonathan Becker had some autographs to dish out, and of course a lot of people I think were going to guess William Eklund would be the first goal scorer of this game, but they weren't disappointed. William Eklund, of course, the 2020 first round pick that everybody's really excited about, beats the goaltender early to make it 1-0, and a nice, simple play, but definitely shown some flashes of what he can be down the road.
Yeah, that was some slick playing between him and Bordelot. They developed that chemistry pretty early on. You could see it, kind of knowing where each other would be on the ice. And
Right.
Eklund, that looked like a pro goal right there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's it's just something else to see, and interesting move that he takes, that he signs his entry-level contract and is kind of up in the air as to where he wants to go. Does he want to stay in with Desjardins, or does he want to go and play with the Barracuda, get that little edge of playing in San Jose, getting ready to, just in case, to have that call coming up right away?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting month for him. We'll see what happens at the rookie tournament, which I think he'll be back for. But he's supposed to be going back to Sweden right after this because his team's in preseason right now.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting to see where he plays this year. I personally would prefer if he played, I think, in Sweden. I really don't want to rush him. But at the same time, it's exciting to have him in San Jose. So he's probably the most exciting prospect we've had in a long time.
Yeah, and like you said, the combination with Bordelot, it looked really special, along with Coe. I think that whole first line for Team Marchment, or as they say, Team Teal, looked really good. I mean, if there's some sort of highlight for Team Teal, it's that those guys look like they are going to be fun to watch at pro training camp and at the rookie tournament in Arizona.
Yeah, in that first period, I really thought that line was going to carry Team Teal because they just were flying in that first period. It didn't look like anybody could stop them. But then I think the white team figured them out a little bit after that, because while Eklund and Bordelot still looked very good with their puck possession, they didn't really get as many opportunities throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Team Ricci just goes on a run. They score 8 straight in this game. You had Eklund score the first, but then it was Knyzhov had a really solid game.
That name.
Yes, not to be confused with Nikolai Knyzhov, the defenseman. Artemy Knyzhov, he needed a big game, and he had it. He was only given really a depth role at the development game a couple years ago and got injured early on in a training camp in 2019-20. So, something good to see there for sure.
Yeah, I'm actually extremely high on him, and I think he's going to be one of the prospects that surprises people. I know a lot of the focus has been on Merkley over the last few years because of where he was taken and kind of his more flashy game. But I actually think I always thought it was Knyazhov, but based on what they're saying today, it's Knyazhov or Knyazhov. I don't even know how. I'm kind of confused at this point. But his game and how I've been following for the last few years, I think he projects to being a better NHL player than Merkley.
Dan Rusanowski, if you are watching, we do need a pronunciation guide before the preseason begins. We're just saying. I mean, come on now. Let's make sure we get this, because we always like to get the names right. And boy, howdy, were there some names out there. Onyebuchi, Biaka Patuka, for like a lot of, if you're a football fan from the late 90s, early 2000s, the former running back of the Carolina Panthers, if I'm not mistaken, is the uncle of Biaka Patuka, who was playing for the Sharks this evening. But to kind of continue on, who really stood out from you? I mean, honestly, yes, the score was lopsided, but the score isn't necessarily the thing to look at, but more so, who really stood out?
Actually, going back to Knyazhov, I thought he wasn't the flashiest. I think Eklund had some of the flashiest moments in the game, but I think he was the most consistent player throughout the game. Anytime he was on the ice, you noticed him. He was creating offense. He was breaking the puck out, and in the offensive zone, he was holding the blue line, dishing the puck very well, and I think he ended up having 3 or 4 assists and that one goal. So I was very impressed with him. And another person who I thought was kind of subtly very good, Daniil Gushin.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by this because it just torched the USHL. He was meant to play in the OHL, but their season was obviously canceled. But he looked very good, and I mean, that shootout goal.
Oh, boy, howdy. Yeah, that was one I couldn't get to GIF on the Teal Town USA Twitter, but that'll be on our Twitter, that'll be on our Instagram feed very soon. That's for darn sure on that one. Daniil Gushin, lots to gush about. Let's just put it that way. On the also, on Team Ricci, Ozzy Weisblatt, the first round pick from 2020. I thought he looked really, really good early on. He was definitely moving the game around. He was definitely playing with the puck and definitely having a lot of speed to it. That kind of slowed down a little bit, but Weisblatt, looked promising as well.
Yeah, you could see he's got a different level of speed compared to a lot of the other guys on the ice. And I think this was the first time you really got to see our Sharks fans, unless you were following him in juniors or in the few games he played in the AHL, you really got to see the tools that he has. And he was kind of as advertised. Speedy player, he's got some hands. And he was one of the forwards that stood out to me in terms of always kind of noticing him on the ice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looked really good. He didn't end up getting a goal, but I thought he looked really sharp throughout the game tonight, for sure. Another one, Adam Raska. I see N. Hernandez asking, the broadcast didn't have 3 stars of the game, but come on, Buckeye, who were the 3 stars? I say Raskin number 1. You definitely have to put him up there, right there. I mean, you also go with, Kanaishev or Eklund. I'm kind of biased by that, but those 3 looked pretty solid there. Zach Gallant had some nice passing plays. Linus Obert looked pretty good. I mean, I yes, this is a what they call a reset. This is not a rebuild per se, but the amount of time that the Sharks got this amount of prospects that look pretty decent, and granted they're going up against the likes of Zachary Iman, Melnichuk, the likes of them, Goodrow. I mean, looked not too bad. I mean, are they ready for the NHL? Probably not, but I mean, they looked pretty solid.
Yeah. And 2 points on that. Raska, I think he's going to absolutely be an NHL player. I don't know if he has quite the ceiling of a top 6 forward. In fact, I think he's probably going to be limited to a 3rd or a 4th line role, but he just screams a player who's going to play his heart out and get to the level just because he's always in the right place. And this past season, his offense got a big boost in the QMJHL. He was definitely noticeable in the World Junior Championships. He's a guy who I think needs to clean his game up a little bit. And you saw it. He got that kneeing play, but he's a guy who kind of always plays on the edge and on the line, and he'll have to clean that up a little bit. But he screams NHL player to me. And on that other point you made, this is the first year in a while where you're watching the Sharks prospects, and it's not just 1 or 2 names that you're looking for.
Right.
I had a whole list of about 15 guys who I wanted to see today because we have that many players to be fairly excited about.
I mean, that's the thing, and that's kind of the fun thing about a reset or rebuild or whatever you want to call it, is that there's going to be guys that that you're really looking at, seeing what they can do and how they could be into the lineup. You had Arabic going. Inabuchi had a goal and then a fight. McGrew, who's been through so much. McHugh, Young. We used to have a staff writer from North Dakota who just gushed about Jasper Weatherby. He got in on the scoring tonight. Spitzerov. There's a lot of potential in these guys, and I can hope like heck that they try to get these guys developed into, well played NHLers. I'm not going to hold my hope out for a superstar, except for maybe Eklund, Weisblatt, and Bordelot. But for all of those, there are some that are a little frustrating at times, and I think one of the ones that I think kind of was really, not to pick on the guy, but really really struggling out there tonight, I thought, was Ryan Merkley.
Mm-hmm.
I looked really like spotlight on you, bud.
Yeah, the thing about him is just the things that you like are the things you already know you're going to like. Right. He has a few plays where he's slick with the puck. He makes a few nice passes, shows some vision. But the problem with him is, this is, I think, his 3rd year in a development camp now. He's no longer the youngest guy there. He even was saying in his interview, he's one of the more veteran players at this camp in terms of with the franchise. And you'd hope at this point, a former first-round pick who has flashed so much offense would take over a game like this and dominate.
Right.
And he had a few rushes that looked really impressive and some nice plays. And I thought he actually had a pretty good first period, but then he just disappeared. And that's just one of the things he's known for, is disappearing, making defensive mistakes. And it's like, he went from being, I think, our top prospect to probably barely in the top 5 at this point. It's been a downward trend for him.
And that's the concern, because there was so much potential for Merkley. I mean, yes, that pick was high risk, high reward, but something's got to give in this point. John, thank you so much with the super chat donation. Of course, super chat donations go back to help support our show, help cover costs and such, so that way nobody's missing out on ramen noodle soup or Hot Pockets. they go help, offset the costs that we pay out here. But he's got to go to bed, but I appreciate Teal Town USA. John, we appreciate you. And to the 53 of you watching, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is a prospect scrimmage. We miss hockey, and we know there's a lot of rough stuff going on outside sports. So we appreciate to kind of distract things for a little bit. But overall, what's the what's could you put a player or two on the NHL squad right now? And if so, who would you put?
I think Eklund is very NHL ready, but I wouldn't put him there. Right. So to be clear, I actually do think Artemi Kniazev is very close. I think he needs some time possibly in the AHL, but I think his talent and his game is going to heavily translate over. There's a prospect who unfortunately couldn't even have been there due to some travel issues. Santeri Hataka, he didn't play tonight, and he wasn't part of this camp, but I think he's actually probably one of the most NHL ready of our prospects. And that's actually something to look forward to with the Sharks rookie tournament coming up. Right. He'll be there. I believe Tristan Robbins, who also wasn't here this week, will be there, and possibly Chukovic as well. But from the group today, I think everyone still probably needs another year or two. But Eklund would probably be my top choice as being close to NHL ready, simply because of the skills,
Would you put Raska out there just because of his two-way play?
I think so. I think ultimately he probably would be better served with some AHL time. But because the bottom of the lineup is where I think he's going to slot in, he could be close to NHL ready in that regard. So he's another name to look out for as well.
Yeah, definitely. Goaltending wise, it was overall a 10-4 game. Anybody stick out besides Zachary Amon's beautiful Brian Hayward-esque helmet? Ooh. That's crisp,
that mask. Man. I want him in the NHL just because of that mask. I want to watch that mask every single night. I think Gaudreau looked solid in his period. He didn't give up any goals. He didn't really face a ton of shots, but he looked very well positioned, and he, I think, moved pretty well there. I liked Melnichuk in the first period. He faced a lot of shots, made some good saves, ultimately gave up the goal. But I would have said Melnichuk, Gaudreau, and actually probably then Amond, I'd say the third best. Krona really struggled in his period. He was kind of left out to dry, but he struggled a lot. Some of those goals were a little iffy.
Yeah, no, that was a rough spot, and that second period for Team Marchment was more rough than Darren Ruff of the Giants. That was yikes. Yikes, man. Yeah. Oh, man. Let's get to some of the comments in the chat here. Deuces Shoeless. Sorry, missed the scrimmage, my friend, but Dark Horse's Co. had a decent night with Bordelot and Eklund. Gushin, we were talking about, if you got to see his shootout goal there, and then Hamaliuk. I didn't see too much of Hamaliuk in this one for sure, but they're looking good. Bring Doogie back, yes. Sharks prospect scrimmage legend Sean Doogie, I think is like 5'6",
on skates.
Yeah, exactly, on skates. And Sharks last already pitching for funds to go get a ring light for Kevin. Kevin, I gotta find the link for you for a ring light. Yes, you definitely do need it for the shows. We'll get that out there for sure. Drew asking Raska would be perfect for our fourth line. Of course, we talked about how sweet Emon's helmet was. So a lot. Kevin saying Heliuk disappointed yet again. Yeah. Heliuk, there was him, there was Merkley, Emon we mentioned as well. And then we had that fight between Macaulay Carson and Montana Oniabuchi. Carson takes an elbow at white. Montana Ania Biucci says, "Let's go!" And oh my goodness, yikes! Shark on shark violence is never fun when it's out of the water, but this one looked a little scary.
Yeah, that was a messy fight. He was cut up pretty good under the eye there. But I like to see that. I thought it was a high hit going in. So Anya Wabuchi, that's how it's pronounced, right? He came in there, and you kind of had to in that moment. So it was a pretty good fight. They both landed some hits.
Yeah. I mean, yikes! But the funny thing is that they give each other a high five and hug after that. I was like, wow. Denver Doyle actually asking you, do you think the smart strategy for the Sharks is to have Eklund wait a year?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said a little bit earlier, I think he's got the talent to play in the NHL, but I'd be afraid of someone like Dustin Brown taking him out. And I think it would be nice to see him for another year. I think it's Sweden to compare and see his development. He already had one of the best seasons ever of a draft-eligible player, and it would be good to see now what he does in his draft plus 1 year.
Yeah. Deuce is asking, be real, what players didn't belong in the camp, let alone on those rosters? Who are the busts?
Hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really hard to say. I was more, I think, surprised by players than I was disappointed by players. Like Spitserov, he impressed me. I didn't really expect much out of him. Some of the invites I thought looked pretty good. Chichek, I think his name is pronounced, looked really good in the first period. Then he kind of disappeared. And I liked Biaka Batuka. And he's a big defenseman. I wouldn't mind the Sharks. I'm not sure if they can sign him, but either him or Chichek, I wouldn't mind if the Sharks signed them to a contract.
Definitely. Whatever it takes. I mean, the Sharks are on the cusp of hitting that 50 contract limit, so we'll see if there's something that happens down the road for this team. But yeah, they believe they're at 49 contracts, if not at 50. So something will have to be done down the road here. And this is a thing, Mark. I mean, usually we have this prospect camp, development camp, and then the prospects scrimmage, and then we take a month or two off. We get captain's ice down the road, but not this time around, my friend. Well, we probably have like a couple of weeks before the guys are already hitting the ice for captain's ice, and then we're hitting up for the rookie tournament, and then training camp gets right underway. So
yeah, they were saying actually during the broadcast that this is a long summer, and I know what they meant in terms of the Sharks not making the playoffs, obviously. But this has actually been one of the more exciting summers, I'd say, in hockey recent history because of all the moves, the shortened time frame because of last season dragging on due to COVID. So the draft, free agency, it's all been pretty exciting. And then this kind of came out of nowhere really quick, and they had the broadcast. So even as Sharks fans, I think it's been a pretty exciting summer.
For sure. And it's going to be continuing on. This is just the start, folks. Enjoy this little dip. You got a couple, 2-3 weeks to relax for a little bit, and then get ready. We'll be going full throttle with the coverage here on Teal Town USA. So if you haven't already, folks, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really helps us out in the algorithm. And, of course, hit that notification bell that notifies you when we do go live after each game. So we'll appreciate every one of you doing that. So anyway, I can get Buckeye to say Vancouver in that funny voice. I'm kind of restricted by that now. I'm sure if there's some sort of a donation, I guess we can do that. But smash that like button for sure. But if in case you missed anything and want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. Of course, this will be up later this evening at tealtownusa.com. So with that, just your final thoughts, Mark, on this night. what you've seen, who's your ups, who's your downs overall? What you think?
It was a very exciting night. I think there's a handful, if not 10 prospects to be excited about after how they performed tonight. For those of you who read my top 15 prospects last year, I'll be putting that together again soon, and that'll be coming out probably next month. So look forward to that. And it'll heavily show what we saw tonight in form of performances based on the rankings.
And overall, with the development on this team, it's definitely changed over the last couple of years. But how excited are you?
Prospects and development's always been my favorite part of hockey. So
right?
I am very excited to be following the Sharks now, despite the recent embarrassing product on the NHL rink.
Yeah, boy, and it's been a crazy summer indeed for that. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, with that, we'll get out of here. Plenty of stuff coming up down the road. We'll get a sneak peek at the Barracuda. Wait, did somebody request the Barracuda?
Ooh, Barracuda!
There you go. You wanted that along with Vancouver. So you're all set to go with that. I don't know. I'm just trying to please the crowd, folks. So thank you so much. We appreciate each and every one with you. And until next time, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you down the road. Take care.